And I dropped the phone there, but we are not live actually, but we definitely are back talking about the two types of feedback mechanisms here. So we discussed the feedback mechanisms in the prior episode. I don't know why prior's behind us, but in the episode that is directly before this, but the two types of feedback mechanisms, pretty simple to understand once you get past the terminology, but positive feedback mechanism and negative feedback mechanism. So when we think of positive, we usually think of good. Negative, you usually think of bad. But this is somewhat opposite in the body, and we're going to learn about that right now. So positive feedback mechanism, the stimulus promotes the response, but the response actually enhances the stimulus. So in our bodies, this happens very quickly, and it usually promotes pathological conditions. So if your blood pressure drops, for instance, you don't want your blood pressure dropping farther. You usually want the blood pressure raising to keep that homeostasis, that homeostatic range. Just always remember the body is trying to keep homeostasis. That's our most balanced state. That's our happiest state. So an analogy to a positive feedback mechanism. Just think how you're watching Netflix here. Netflix or Hulu, whatever you're watching, often tends to be a positive feedback mechanism. So by this, you watch one episode. Guess what? You usually feel more inclined to watch another. So it's that positive feedback. That stimulus is watching an episode. The response, positive feedback. Watch more. But on the other hand, we have the negative feedback. So negative feedback is actually a good thing in our body. Even though it says negative, it's just the name it's given. Don't think too much into these different terms in anatomy. There's a name for everything, so you just gotta just recognize what the name is and make that connection there. And hopefully these analogies will help you do that. But the negative feedback mechanism, still, stimulus does promote the response, but with a negative feedback mechanism, the response is actually opposite the stimulus. So the blood pressure drops. Negative feedback is blood pressure is going to increase there. And that's with, anything. So think of an analogy here. So negative feedback does promote that homeostasis. So homeostasis is good. We like homeostasis, but I can't stop burping. I'm sorry, guys. Excuse me. But so think of the analogy as the more snow falls, the more the greater number of plow trucks are on the road to remove that snow there. So this is a negative feedback. This is a good thing so we could drive on the road. So more snow falls, boom, more trucks come out, plow it off the road, salt it so we can drive on the road there. So positive feedback mechanism, boom, stimulus promotes response, but response enhances or amplifies the stimulus, promotes pathological conditions, happens very quickly, not a good thing usually. Nobody likes pathological conditions. I don't like pathological conditions. Do you like pathological conditions? Didn't think so. But negative feedback, so once again, stimulus promotes response, but the response is opposite of the stimulus, so this is a good thing. We like homeostasis. Homeostasis is good, but homeostasis, so the blood pressure drops. With a negative feedback mechanism, blood pressure increases there. So one positive feedback mechanism enhances stimulus. The negative feedback mechanism response is opposite the stimulus there. Boom. Those are two types of feedback mechanisms.